Happy Friday, and welcome to this week's edition of Shaynel's 3 Cents. I'm your host, Shaynel Caldwell, founder and executive director of Our Blended Families. And again, I want to say welcome and thank you so much for tuning in to the show today. So before we get started on my news segment, which I'm very excited about, of course, I'm going to give you my 1, 2, 3 cents about what's been going on this week and how I feel about some of the activities. As you may know, I think that it's very important for us to get involved in our society, particularly the community events, because again, what happens in the political realm ultimately trickles down and affects you at home wherever you are. And so I thought one of the most important things that stood out to me this week was the meeting of the black pastors that met with our awesome President Trump on Wednesday. Apparently the meeting was supposed to be held, and it was a nice 45-minute meeting that was held at the White House, but the meeting was to be held to discuss prison reform. And those of you that look like me in particular understand that the importance of prison reform is completely understated. Why? Because most of the people that populate our prison system look like me. Now, mind you, most of them are male, but again, it's most of us, according to our population, that sit within the prison system. So whenever we talk about prison reform, we absolutely want to make sure that we have a seat at the table to make sure that we're having these conversations, not only with the people that are in power, but also within the people in our community, to let them know, hey, these are the things that you need to do to, one, avoid prison and or understand how you need to cope and get through the criminal justice system so that if you accidentally navigate your way in, you can navigate your way back out. So again, very important. And so while we were very ecstatic, those of us that heard about this meeting in advance by watching with that, whatever media outlet you primarily are tuned into, we're kind of excited. And we also had that side eye because we're like, let's see what 45 is going to say and whether or not he's actually going to do anything, primarily because we also know that Jeff Sessions is his boy, our nation's top cop, the Attorney General, and all these programs ultimately will be handled by him. So apparently, as things kind of maneuvered through, we kind of got a sense that, well, we didn't hear the pastor saying much. We didn't come to find out that there was an action plan on how to implement some of this prison reform. And while the folks that were there, the black pastors and ministers that were there, it was kind of deceitfully shown that our top pastors were not there. Al Sharpton wasn't there. Jesse Jackson wasn't there. So while it might have been viewed by some as, oh, he's looking at, new meat, new folks, as opposed to having the folks that actually have a platform on prison reform, specifically Al Sharpton, again, this kind of made you think, is this a photo op? Is he doing this or is he really helping us? So fast forward to Thursday and Friday. There's been a lot of reports within social media concerning whether or not the pastor should have gone there at all, whether or not it was merely a photo op opportunity for Trump to have his, hey, we got black people here that support me and black people that think that I'm awesome, and or, again, what really is his stance? And so on the left, we have our folks that are saying those pastors never should have went and talked to him in the first place. On the right, we also have our folks that are saying they should have had something to say. They should have allowed them a platform to go back and forth and actually have a real conversation as opposed to listening. Again, my 3 cents on the topic, you absolutely want to be there. This kind of resonates the same thing, the same kind of conversation that we had with Steve Harvey. When Steve Harvey had his conversation with Trump, you want to make sure that you're at the table because everything that happens at the table will ultimately be implemented. And if you're not seated at the table, you will ultimately be served by the people at the table. You don't know what's going to be on that platter. So one, I am glad that they went. I was kind of proud because I'm a Sacramento, California native. And one of the pastors that I knew and from my neighborhood, Pastor Phil Godot from Calvary Christian Center was there. And so, again, we're looking like, OK, is he going to represent? Is he going to say anything? Come to find out they weren't letting him say anything. We also had Pastor John Gray, who had a nice presence from Relentless Church down in Greenville, South Carolina. But I think the most important kind of backlash / input came from Pastor Darrell Scott from Cleveland. For some strange reason, he was of the ideology that President Trump has done more for black people than any other president in history. And so if you were like me, you were kind of, excuse me? Okay. Because one, that's a no. Two, oftentimes we tend to think that people owe us things. If you look like me, you're definitely owed something, but you need to go get it. So I'm still kind of walking through that and trying to be prayerful because I'm really like, really, Pastor Scott, for real? And of course, he's seen on CNN. He's been on a couple other news networks trying to backpedal those statements. Well, what I really meant, and, he was probably doing a 45 number. Well, what I meant to say was he was going to do more for black people or something like that. But again, kind of interesting, kind of unique. So please make sure that you're following along to see if there will, one, be any change and any good information that come out of this meeting, whether or not they're going to implement some changes, whether they're at least going to go and create an action plan for, hey, this is what will be next, and or as we approach the mid-season elections, whether or not this is just a little bit of fluff coming. But again, you want to make sure that you support your pastors. Make sure they know your political views. Make sure they understand it. Mind you, we're supposed to have a slight little separation between church and state, but we know that's also not true because most of us live our lives according to, our preferred religions. But ultimately, keep watching and seeing what's going on. I'll be watching, Pastor Scott. I'll be praying for you. But again, I'm not sure what set of eyes you're watching and what you've been looking out of the world from, because that's going to be a no-no for me. And again, we'll see what happens. So hopefully you'll take that and we'll go from there. Give us a couple of minutes. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with my first guest on our news segment, Ask a Grown Man, Marcus Abrams. Woo! We'll see you back after this quick break.
Lonely whenever you're around. Hey, I'm lonely
everybody's doing it. The young and the old, from the north to the south, and from the east to the west. I want to know how to do it. I want to know how to hand dance. Show me how to do it. I want to know, can you teach me? Can you teach me how to hand dance? Can you show me how to do it? I want to know how to hand dance. Show me how to do it. I want to know how to hand dance. Show me how to do it. I like the way you move. I like the way you groove. I like the way you groove. I like the way you spin. I like the way you spin. You turn around and you do it again. I want to know, can you teach me? Can you teach me how to hand dance? I want to know how to do it. I want to know how to hand dance. I want to give it a try. I want to give it a try. I like the way you move. I like the way you move. I like the way you move. I like the way you hand dance. Show me how to do it. It's about time for me to get on the floor. Stop being.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Shaynel's 3 Cents, and I am here with my co-host today, Mr. Marcus Abrams.
Good afternoon, Shaynel. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm going to give Marcus an opportunity to tell us a little bit about himself, and I want you to, of course, feel comfortable in sharing with our guests as much as you want to, because, again, everything that we have on our little index cards for Ask a Grown Man, some are going to be a little interesting, some are going to be not as interesting, but, again, we at least want to give them a little bit about your background and why you may answer some of the questions the way that you do. So yes, if you want to first start off by telling us where you're from, because we also know, well, they don't know that you're not a DMV native, so share with us a little bit about who you are.
I am not a DMV native. I'm actually from Sumter, South Carolina. Come from, a rural area in Sumter, South Carolina by way of Dazzell. Went to high school there, Crestwood High School, and also went to the University of South Carolina. After that, went to Webster University, graduated with my MBA, and now I'm up here in the DV area trying to make a life for myself.
All right. Grown man with an MBA. You drive a BMW?
BMW. Black man
working.
You
got an MBA, you got a BMW,
all that good stuff, right?
Okay. So now that we know that you're not from here, that you're a Southern kind of boy and may have some of that Southern charm,
right.
Good education, all that stuff, are you a parent?
No, I'm not a parent at all.
Okay. So you're single and not a parent.
Yeah.
And you live up. Okay. So again,
over 30.
Oh, over 30. Again, good info. Next week, we'll be having the dating show, and I'll start introducing all of our eligible bachelors. So we'll go from there. One of the things that I was really impressed with when we met was not only learning about the work that you do in the financial sector and that you have a background in finance. So we hope that you're taking good care of your money and all that good stuff, but that your work within the community and working with young boys. And I know that you really had a passion for working with one of our schools over in the Hyattsville area, Riverdale, with the football team. So.
Yes, I do. Actually, I coach at Largo High School. This will be my 5th year coaching there at JV and also at the varsity level, being a defensive backs coach. So it's been really, really fun. I had a passion for football, always loved football. It just had a passion for it, and I love being with the kids, love, seeing them grow as men, and that's the most important thing to me is mentoring these kids, make sure they be a productive product of society.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome. And so you said this is going to be your 5th year?
5th year.
Okay.
Since 2013.
Awesome. Now, coaches, I remember my son, he played football, he also played basketball, but by the time my son was in those activities, I was actually single. And so do you often run into the mothers or, can you coach my son this, or can you share this with my son, or can you tell me how how my son is doing? Do you run into that?
No, we usually don't run into those problems. Usually the mothers, they let the coaches do their jobs. Let the coaches handle the kids. Usually it's a break from the mothers.
Okay.
So we usually handle the kids accordingly, try to teach them the rights, do's and don'ts in life, and also to how to be disciplined on and off the field.
Okay. Well, I guess they're a lot more couth than what I used to be back in the day. So lucky you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into our first little set of cards. And the first question is political activism. How involved should you be as a black man in politics?
You should be very involved in politics as a, African American male, so you can know what's going on in your community. So you could, teach, the young women, the young men that's coming behind you of, how to conduct yourself in, the political environment, to know what's going on, because laws affect us heavily as a minority. Doesn't matter if you're a black male, black female, the laws affect us, and we have to know what's going on so we can, adapt to what this world is, per se, giving us on a silver platter. This is our, the laws and regulations that's going down, and we have to adapt to them. If we don't know what's going on, we're left out of the loop, and we're like in the wind, like what the deer in the headlight looks like, what's going on. And we want to be able to affect change and be, like you say, a part of the conversation, and we want to be at the table helping making those decisions.
Absolutely.
And when making those decisions, we could help make decisions that primarily have a positive influence on us. So a lot of times, most of the decisions are made that don't have a positive influence on us. They don't have positive change for us. It's usually in a negative sense.
And even when I mentioned earlier about the meeting with the pastors, with our president talking about prison reform, I think that that's important, because when it comes down to not only prisons, because those are ran by the federal governments, but you have the jails that are ran by the counties, and of course the state interface with some of the prisons. As I mentioned before, most of them in the prisons look like us. So when they have these community meetings, or they have these meetings that are set up by folks in government, it always amazes me that there aren't many more people, not only that look like me, but that look like you. Because as you mentioned, those are the things that affect them. Exactly. And we populate most of the prison system, so we should know what's going on with our brothers.
Right.
We should know what they have in the pike for, making sure their lives are better, and or they're learning something. They're actually getting, proper education to learn how to divert from those types of behaviors, and or to address any mental health issues or something of that nature. So.
Exactly. I agree with you, because we need to be at the forefront at those meetings to see, okay, what, transition phases, what programs do we have for like people that that look like you and I, coming out of those prison systems. Okay, what counseling sessions, what especially being able to work again, because that's probably one of the most important things, is to be able to get a job, to be able to provide a life for self, and to be able to sustain yourself. And one of the hard things is also am I able to vote? Am I able to after I get out of the prison system, am I able still to have my voice heard? And the most important thing is, to be able to vote again.
I like that you mentioned that, because that's actually one of the stories that I follow very closely about people coming out of the system. That one, we want them to reintegrate back into society,
Right.
and learn how to take care of themselves and make sure that they're doing everything that they need to do. But also being mindful that, are they going to let you vote? Can you impact what's going on in your neighborhood and your communities? Was it something that actually, a law within your neighborhood that ended up putting you behind bars? Something that you need to speak about. Hey, well, they shouldn't have, this opportunity to, stop you if you miss this red light or something like that.
Right.
But having the ability to vote once you come out of the system is very important, because there are a lot of people that are pushing back against that and saying, as an ex-felon, you should not have that right to vote. So.
Exactly, and by doing that, by pushing, denying ex-felons, people that have a record, not be able to ability to vote, it actually hurts our community, because, as you say, most of the people that's in there look like you and I. So that impacts our ability to sit at the table.
Absolutely. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the next card. And again, these are random, so I'll be pushing you back and forth, so I need you to come back into the mindset. The second up is religion. Is it important to you? And if so, why?
Religion is very, very, I say, a mindful thing each and every day as we, walk through our daily lives. I think it's more important to be a spiritual person to be religion, because our religions are not created equal. Everybody has their own set of rules and guidelines and
So they're not all from the
interpretations.
same God?
They're not according to what everybody has, like between Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and many others.
Catholicism.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody has their own set of rules. So I believe, there's, one God, one faith, one belief. Everybody has to, respect each other's religion, but to be mindful that, we all have a common goal, and it's just, to be common courteous to one another, to be respectful of one another. And at the end of the day, love one another. And that's the biggest thing we have to learn with, whether you're black, white, Latina, Native American, Caucasian. We just have to learn to love one another as a sense.
Okay. Well, do you think that that's going to become even more prevalent, now that our top cop has decided we're going to have this religious task force to, to make sure that your religion is being respected, even though, again, we're supposed to have this separation from church and state?
Yes, it's going to be a top aspect as far as, people, I guess the running gun, as we can say, making sure things are in tip-top condition as far as religion. But I think everything comes back to, one-on-one relationship with, your belief and what are the core values of those beliefs. At the end of the day, I believe all the religions, their core beliefs is centered around love, around respect, and treating people as, with a certain type of respect for one another.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will concur on that. Okay. Moving right along. Finances. This is a finance/dating question. Who is responsible for the finances in a relationship?
Who's good with money?
Okay.
Whoever's good with money. So usually, the man's supposed to lead the house. As per se,
and who said that?
The Bible. That's why I go back to biblical principles.
Okay.
The man's supposed to lead the household, but within leading the household, you have to know your weaknesses and your strengths. And if one of your strengths is not handling money, not handling the finance of the house, maybe the woman of the house, maybe that's her strength. And budget, make sure you're on budget, make sure you're not overspending. Somebody has to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of both parties. So, it doesn't matter, if you're the man or the woman, who makes the more money, whose strength is better at managing the money.
Okay.
That's who should manage the money.
Okay. That's I actually like that point, because that's actually something that I believe, whoever has that gift, because, always talk about walking in your gifts and making sure that
stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Just because you like to do it doesn't mean that you're good at it. And if you're not good at it, you shouldn't be the one to do so. I always share this story because the Bible talks about the man being the head of the house, and then we immediately think that, well, the women are supposed to take care of the kids. Okay, that's not exactly how that translates.
Not at all.
It's being mindful that he's the overseer of the house, but again, who's ever able to take care of the kids. If your schedule permits Monday through Thursday, or your schedule, you work third shift, you work graveyard, it's a matter of who's capable and who's able.
And being able to delegate efficiently and proficiently.
Okay. Now, since we're still on finances, I'm going to throw this back in as a loop. In a relationship,
yes,
when you have bills, and mind you, we're going to say that whether or not you're married and or cohabitating,
right?
A la shacking up. Who's responsible for, paying what? Should it be a 50-50, or should it be, I pay the rent, you pay the cable and the phone, or the water bill or something like that? What are your thoughts on that?
One of my thoughts on that, wow. Who's responsible for the bills of the household? Well, if you're married, it all depends on who's bringing in what type of income.
Okay.
For example, if the man is bringing more income, then that man ultimately he's going to be responsible for taking care of the wife, the kids, the overall bills. But if the woman still brings in more income than the man, I still say that man has the ability to go out and get a second job to also make sure that the house is taken care of. He might not take care of like the bigger bills, as far as i.e. mortgage and other bigger bills in the household, because his income don't allow that, but he'd probably take care of the rest of the bills besides those bigger bills. So, but the man, he should be able to take care of that woman in that household.
Okay.
Because no woman is going to respect a man that don't have the ability to take care of her financially, mentally, and emotionally.
Really?
Yes.
Really? You know, I've actually heard that. I was going through my certifying entity, the National Council on Family Relations. One of their volumes that they released, I believe it was in May of this year, they talked about, you know, changing family dynamics. And that's
Right.
also something that, you know, the conversation is constantly being brought about, that we're no longer in the 1920s.
Yeah,
to
we
where,
know.
you know, men are, you know, they're the only ones that are able to work.
Right.
And so they're the only ones that are able to bring money in.
Exactly. We're in this day and age where now the woman, they have the top tier jobs. They
bringing home six figures.
Yeah, they're bringing home 6 figures, and the man, he's bringing a little bit beyond, a little bit, you know, a little less than 6 figures, or he may not be at the level where his wife or his girlfriend or whoever they cohabitating with. So that can become a little bit of an ego issue from some men. Like, they don't want their women to make more money than them. So it's kind of like a power struggle between the man ego and, you know, a woman out there doing her thing, succeeding and stuff like that. To me,
Should it be?
No.
Should it be an ego issue?
It shouldn't be an ego issue. That should be extra. That's extra on top. That's, as I say, icing on the cake. And when a woman brings that much to the table, when she's able to go out there, make her own, be independent, and, you know, okay, I'm bringing 6 figures to the table. This is what I'm bringing to the table for us. This is what I'm willing to, help create us a legacy, you know, a foundation for where we can start. Now, as the man, you have to make sure that you build yourself up in the same capability, or, you know, motivate yourself to make sure that you're bringing the same amount, or you're coming close to it.
Okay. We had a conversation. One of the items that we didn't discuss last week when we had the Sister Girl Circle was dating outside of your financial realm. And so I always say that, you know, if I'm Supergirl, you know, I should at least be trying to date somebody that can fit the Batgirl costume. But if I don't have any superhero powers, I don't know why I'm chasing after Superman. You know, but we kind of, you know, giggle and make those connotations. But that's also something that people are looking at nowadays. You know, is it okay to date someone that, if I have a college degree, to date someone that just has a GED? Is it okay for me to date someone, you know, I'm a man, and men usually have not historically had this problem. I'm a manager and I'm making all this money, but my girlfriend, she's a waitress, and, you know, she's making a little bit of this. But now the roles are reversed. You know, so you'll have the woman, she's a CFO making a lot of money at the company, and she's interested, or, you know, dating a guy that works for UPS.
Right. There's nothing wrong with, you know, dating, I guess, below your standard per se.
Financial standards. Financial
standards. But you have to be mindful of that too, because you have to look at it on the backside. What if I lose that job? What if I'm sick, I'm ill, I'm not able to get back to that job, I'm not able to find another job, I'm not able to, you know, get back and work full time. Now you have created yourself a financial mess trying to recoup financially, because that man that you're with or married, he doesn't have the capabilities of making the same amount of money that you have. So now you have to readjust your financial situation in life. And most people, once they reach a certain level, it's hard for them to go back to not having anything or of that stature.
Okay. No, that actually makes sense. And we're going to take a quick pause for the cause. Girlfriends, don't you turn down no man because he works a job less than you, or he's not making the money that you have, because you want to look at the person. You want to look at what he's able to bring to you emotionally, whatever type of support he's able to bring to you and your children and or your inner circle. But don't you turn down no man because of no money, talking about you don't want to look down at no man like that. That's why a lot of us sitting around talking about I ain't got no man because you petty. And you look, going the opposite of gold digger stuff.
Character is always first and foremost. If a man can be 100% honest with you, within his wrongs and his rights, and if he can make his wrongs rights, you know, he may be worth keeping around.
Absolutely. And even in my story, you know, when I was married many moons ago, like 30, 40 years ago, you know, I was the money maker of our family, the breadwinner of our family, and my husband, he worked a part-time job.
Right.
And while I initially, you know, had some animosity, you were supposed to be a man, you supposed to do this. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you know, my job is bringing in a lot of money, you know, and it's a ritual that I had been in a while, but he was also an awesome caretaker to our kids.
Right.
You know, when I would come home, the kids would be showered, they had their homework done, I have food in the microwave waiting for me and all this good stuff. But again, we made it work. We made it work.
And
eventually I was jealous of all the time that he was spending with the kids because he was doing such a good job, things that I hadn't even thought about.
And that brought a lot of value to the relationship, to the marriage.
It did. So it made me actually look at him in a different light.
It kind of evened out as far as the amount of money he was bringing in to what he was doing and bringing to the table as far as watching the kids. Making sure, had a nice home-cooked meal, make sure the house was clean.
Absolutely.
Make sure, the honey to-do list was done and everything.
Yeah, I'd even pay you some money nowadays if you come clean my house. So just heads up, because he was a good cleaner, though.
He's a good cleaner. Yeah.
Not that much, but,
So, as we say, money is very important in a relationship, but it's not the all be all and stuff like that. So, it's what you bring to the table. You just can't be a lazy cat, whether you're a man or a woman, and just like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. This is me, accept me or not. Everybody has to build one another. If that woman can't build that man, and that man can't build that woman up to a higher standard or to a higher place in life, then why are you together?
I like it. I also enjoy memes on social media. So a few I can find on Facebook. Most of them I find on Instagram. And I had this awesome meme, and I was really in hysterics, where it said, sis, because that's the new thing. You'll post, hey bruh, or hey sis, if your man is late picking you up in your car from your job, do you see that there's a problem? And I can recall when I was young, having some girlfriends that would have those issues. Oh, can you take me home? Where's your car? Oh, Daddy got the car. He said he running late.
Why are you late?
Okay.
And yeah, that's the most important thing.
You get one of those.
You have too many of those. Yeah, that's one of the sticklers I see in women. They want the man to always be on time. To always be on time. While y'all take your time to get ready for everything else.
Well, we got to be cute. You
got to be cute.
I halfway got dressed today. I didn't comb my hair.
But if that's the only thing about a woman, they want to make sure that you're not say per se be on time, but to be accounted for. That's all.
A little bit of accountability.
Accountability. That's all it is accountability.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, and I like that. I think it's always one of those things that will constantly involve a relationship, because it will be the finances. Do we have enough money to go to the next level? Do we have enough money to make sure all our bills are paid this month?
Right.
And if not, who's able to get a second job? And or are one of the parties going to school or going to training for licensure or certification to improve their financial standing, not only for themselves but also for their family.
Exactly.
So there are different circumstances that dictate where you are at that level. I also remember I dated a man who drove a bucket, or we call back in California, he drove a scraper. And I was like, okay. And I liked him before I met him in the scraper. Right. And he would tell me that women would give him the side eye. They see him at the light in the scraper. But lo and behold, when he pulled up into his garage at home, he had a Range Rover. So he was like, yeah, you don't like me in my scraper, but when I pull up in my Range, you all up in my face.
Hey, looks can be deceiving.
Absolutely.
Looks can be deceiving. You can't never judge a cover by its book, and you can never judge, a man by its introduction. You have to fully read the book from one end of the cover to the back end of the cover. Same thing for a woman.
Absolutely. I concur. Okay, and I think with that we can go on to the next card. And this is a dating question. What are your thoughts on dating women with children?
Dating women with children there's nothing wrong with it. If the man can handle the woman and the kids, so be it. It's all about, the meeting of the minds, being able to connect with that person. It's not about the kids per se until that man, that woman is ready to take, that relationship to the next level, where the kids will be intertwined with one another, with the man and the woman and stuff like that. Because it's a lot of responsibility. I don't have any kids myself, but I know friends, family members, they have kids and dating men and women with kids, whatever. And I seen the turmoil, I see the problems. You're dealing with the baby mamas, dealing with the baby daddies, child support, people spending time with their kids. Sometimes it become a whole mess. It's a lot. And I understand for single mothers, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I get that. But the thing about it is, you can't allow that past situation to affect your future.
Okay. We're going to pause for the calls on that too, because while I'm all for that, and I think that it's your individual assessment on whether or not you want to date a woman that has children, and vice versa. And it's vice versa, a woman that wants to date a man that has children.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Look, don't date nobody that's got some baby kids. That's just gonna be a no. And I don't know if you look old enough and remember
some disrespectful kids.
Look, baby kids to where your kids is nasty, your kids is trifling, and you walking around and they looking at you, cuss you out. You walking in the house, they talking crazy.
If the woman or the man has some baby kids, or as you say, or some disrespectful kids, that goes back to that household. That goes back to the foundation. What foundations and morals and ethics and the accountability are you putting on your kids? That goes, and we as men or women that's dating people with kids, you look at, okay, this person that we're dating, are they commendable? Are they, they have kids? How are they raising their kids? In what manner are they raising their kids?
Well, what if they say, well, little Johnny act like that because his dad left us when he was a baby?
It's excuses.
I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, his dad left, but his mama's still here.
His mama's still here. He has a grandfather somewhere, an uncle, maybe have maybe some cousins. You have male figures around that can help little Johnny become the best man that he can be, even though the father is not there. Even though for little girls, sometimes you have little females that have daddy issues. And my thing about that is you still have some male figures that's in your life, or maybe uncles or brothers, or maybe some grandfathers that's there that can help with curtailing those daddy issues and helping young men and young women become grown and make sure they're acting in a certain type of way that's respectable.
Gotcha. And I think that it's always going to be something that's going to be, available, particularly because in our society nowadays, not too many people are getting married. The numbers of the numbers for marriage, and that's across all the cultures, particularly in the United States, marriage numbers are declining. So more and more people are cohabitating, or more and more people are remaining single without getting married. But the numbers for having children are remaining steady. So you will eventually, run into a parent, either whether it's a mom or dad, that has some children.
Yeah, because I get the deer in headlight looks and say like, hey, you're 35, you don't have any kids. What's wrong with you? Like, just haven't happened yet. Hadn't met the right woman, not married. Like, I even get asked, like, are you gay? You're homosexual? Like, no.
Because you don't have kids?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is perceived that something is wrong with me because I don't have any kids. I'm like, just hadn't happened yet. And I'd be like, I'm taken back by that because, wow. A lot of, brothers out here, because I could relate to the brothers that's,
reckless with their seed. Can I say that?
Well, it takes two to tango. It takes two willing people to, to lay down with one another and to have kids. We have to be mindful, in the, coming up, through our teenage years, in our 20s, everybody wants to experience life. But we have to do so responsibly.
Well, women don't get pregnant on their own. They don't get pregnant on their own. And as you mentioned, the two to tango, this is where I get my mama bear in there. Women don't get pregnant. Men get women pregnant. So you don't want to have any kids. Be more responsible with your seed.
Exactly. But at the same time, a woman has to protect herself at all times, too. Because there are, birth controls, just, for men and women. You have the condoms, and women, you guys have birth control, and also, abstinence, practice that, and also too, and I understand, sometimes hormones get out of range, but everybody has to, be safe out there, be mindful. Sometimes we get lost in the sauce, as we call it, and go on our first instincts. We go with what the flesh tells us to do, and not be thinking.
This is true.
And sometimes we like, why did I do that? And think 5 years from now, like, why did I even have interactions with such and such? Like, you'd be like, I shouldn't have done that, but because of where your mind frame was there back then.
At that time.
You can understand it. It's a growing phase, and it's something that's prevalent in our community that, we always, seeing, sisters and brothers having, kids, out of wedlock. It's not one or two, it's like 3 or 4 of them at the time, you meet a guy that he got like 4 or 5 baby mamas, or you got, a female, she may have 3 or 4 kids, and you be like, wow, she's a nice woman, she's a good woman, but I don't want to take care of those kids. And you have the right to say that.
Absolutely. Without any shame.
Without any shame, you have the right
repercussions from your friends or your circle.
Because looking from the outside in, as a man, you know, okay, she's going to take care of the kids. She's going to make sure, because those are her kids. But as the man, if you're any type of good man, you're going to make sure if that's your woman, you're going to make sure the entire household is taken care of. You're going to make sure, like, those are my kids, too.
Absolutely. Because,
you know, as a man, you're not going to let anybody go without eating. You're not going to let nobody go without shoes, clothing. You know, not going to give nobody less hurt, you know, less emotions. So it all depends on, you know, the situation, but you have to tread carefully.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like that. And I'm gonna curtail that because I know there's another question in the stack that's gonna run into that one. Okay, another dating question. Does a woman's looks or finances play a role in your attraction to her?
For men, yes. Man, we are physical creatures. We are attracted to by the appearance, but also too we should be attracted to the character of that person. Also too, when getting with somebody, whether it's, you know, you're looking for marriage or looking to get to know somebody, it's the whole entire package. Okay, you may have, you know, the looks, you may have a good character, but you're not there financially. The question you have to ask yourself: am I willing to work with this person? And you should be able to work with that person. But at the same time, it all depends where you're at in your life. If you're like over 40, maybe in your 50s, you know, you have this good woman that's staring at you in your face. You know, she looks good, she has good character, but she's, you know, not put together good financially. It all depends, you know, where you at financially as a man, whether whatnot you want to take on that or whatnot. Because, you know, a person that's got their finances together, a person that don't have their finances together, it can cause tremendous hardship in a relationship.
Okay. Now, going back into the woman's looks, and I know one of the questions that was in here, and since we're running the card, as someone said on Instagram the other day, to weave or not to weave? Are you particular of, you know, natural hair, weave, makeup, natural look, name brands, Kohl's, Ross?
Kohl's, Ross. Me personally, I prefer a woman to be natural. And I like to see a woman in her natural habitat. I like to see her, you know, with her natural hair, preferably little to no makeup on. As I said, I'd be laughing, especially in the DMV area. I see a lot of women around here. I call them the bugs on the eye. They put eyelashes on and stuff like that. I'm like, why you got the bugs on your eyes? I'm like,
don't be talking about my lashes.
I grow accustomed to, you know, you have to accept a woman for who she is, and I just
no, you don't, and not if she's not gonna be your woman.
No,
don't let Marcus get y'all messed up. Hey, you ain't gotta accept everybody. You accept the one. You should try to accept the one that you're interested in.
Accept the one that you're interested in, but you have to accept for people for who they are. So I mean, you can accept them for who they are, but you're like, okay, I accept you for who you are, but you're not my speed. But I like you for who you are, but you're not for me.
Yeah. One of my best friends when I was in college, he met this woman. We were actually out at another college, an event for one of our electronic programs that we were in, and he said, "Oh, she was so beautiful." We was like, "Oh, she right," you know. So we gave him the dap. Yeah, go for it. And he told us that he ended up meeting her a couple of weeks later at a location, and he couldn't find her.
He didn't know what she looked like.
She didn't have her makeup on. He was like, "I don't know her. I don't know who that woman."
And we have to ask yourself, is that a whole lie? Is that a whole lie? It's like you're presenting yourself one way, but you look a total different way. So is that another persuasion to say okay, you're misinterpreting yourself as a woman? Like I said, I see no problem with makeup on, but it's such thing as too much. Too much. Where too much is, if I hug you or kiss you, I got it on my shirt.
That's true. Same for me. It's always always guys in hats. I think men look great in hats, whether or not you're wearing a baseball hat, you're wearing a fedora, you got your Kango, all that good stuff. But I'm like, oh, that's nice. I need you to take that hat off because I need to see if you got a blockhead, you got a peanut head, you got a bald head. I need to know what's going on underneath that hat. So it's the same thing on the women. You trying to mislead me. I thought I liked you until you took that hat off.
Exactly. Well, everything's, you know, perceived, you know, for each individual. It all depends what that individual likes.
What your individual likes are.
You know, but at the same time, you know, you see a lot of women, you know, they say, you know, If they bought weave, headpieces, wigs, that's their hair. Like this is ours.
I still have my receipt, so
still have your
just in
receipt?
case I need to take it back.
Just in case, huh?
Keep my receipts.
I understand. That's right. But there's nothing wrong. It all depends what the men want. There's nothing wrong with women wearing weave, wigs. It all depends on what individual end up in. Some women, they like to switch it up. They like to go from natural, like to wear weave. Sometimes they like to go short one day. Like, hey, I got my headpiece on. I got my my weave in now. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody likes everybody wants to be loved and like be respected and to be adored.
I wish that were true. All right, we're gonna go into the next card. Stereotypes. Should a man be handy? Should a man be able to fix everything?
I know some men that can't fix nothing. And I know, especially...
but they know how to call 111. You can't change tire, but you know how to call AAA.
AAA, not 111. AAA, they know how to call AAA. I grew up in a household where, I was taught how to change oil, spark plugs, know how to change a tire, how to fix things in the house. It's just certain aspects of a man that you should have know how to do just to get as they say, the rite of passage to becoming a man.
Okay.
Rite
of passage.
Yeah.
Being able to use your hands.
You got to be able to use your hand because, it's not good. You know how to, change, you don't know how to change a light bulb, but your wife does. You don't know how to, put a fan up, but your wife is doing it for you. It doesn't look good from, the outside looking in. And everything, people say the outside doesn't matter. Like, yes, it does. Because who's leading that marriage or that relationship? The man should be.
Okay. I'm gonna ride the fence on this one. I have two uncles, and one of my uncles passed away earlier this year. But he was the car guru, and there are a lot of things that when we were little, we used to watch him do. I have another uncle that he would just take stuff apart just to put it back together.
Right.
My grandmother like, where'd my clock go? Oh, it's got these pieces. I have it fixed and put back together. So when I was growing up, we were taught that the men were supposed to be handy.
Yes.
But ultimately, as I got older, being raised in a single-parent household,
you have to learn yourself.
My mom, I watched my mom fix things. I'm like, oh, I got to do this, and if, Uncle such and such or John can't get by until next week, we'll have to figure it out, and we have papers and reading through the instructions and things like that. And personally, I have my own toolkit.
Right.
And I have some power tools. I'm like, I know how to do this stuff. And, even to a point to where some of our girlfriends are like, hey, can you help me come and do this? I'm like, well, don't you live with such and such? Mommy, he don't know how to do that. Do you? I was like, okay, I got you. But again, for me, I'm like, hey, it's something that you're good at.
Right.
Something that you're talented in. Like I said, you certainly don't mind doing. Because I love working with my hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I love doing home improvement.
Exactly. Welcome to the world of evolution. Women were forced to be put in that role as far as fixing things, working with their hands. A lot of women, they want to be their own heroes now these days. They want to be independent. They don't want
their own hero.
Their own hero. They want to be their own hero. They want to be independent. They don't want to, want to have a strong sense like I could do this myself. They don't want to be dependent on a man or dependent on anybody else. They don't want to be per se no less helpless.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and we've seen that before as well. I have someone that I follow on social media, and she's always talking about how she's trying to maintain the things in her household. She said, well, I could do it, but I want you to do it.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, I certainly understand that. I could change a light bulb, but, I don't feel like doing it. I want you to do it. So.
Exactly. And that's the most important key in a relationship between a man and a woman. Women have to know that a man wants to feel needed and wanted inside of a relationship. Because if he's not wanted or needed, it's like he serves no purpose. He's just there. He just inserted there.
Being needed. Babe, I need you to fix this light.
Yeah.
Babe, I need you. Can you look at the stove? Why the stove not coming on?
Exactly. I mean, that's enduring for a man like that. Okay, it's like it's the the Superman complex. Okay, we're here to save you.
Okay, I got that. Look, I'm gonna be a little personal and transparent. There was something that actually went wrong in my house, and I told my significant other, hey, I need you to get this taken care of because I know that he likes to feel needed. And so he did what he needed to do, and then when he went to work the next day, I fixed it the right way. So
there are some men out here who call themselves Mr. Fix It, but will tear up your household and will not fix it right. I'm a firm believer, if you're going to do it right.
Do it right. But he felt good when he walked out. Yeah, I took care of my baby.
He took care of the woman. That's the most important
Unfortunately, he don't watch
thing.
the show, so he don't know that I went back and rewired it.
You rewired it the right way, right?
The right way.
The right way.
Okay, we're gonna go on to another card. Another stereotype card. Are black men aggressive?
I think black men are misunderstood.
That bears repeating.
Yeah, black men are misunderstood, and it comes from a whole line of, shouldering a whole lot of stuff throughout the years, throughout generations, from slavery to now. And the same thing with women. Some women need it. It could per se, it can be said these days that women are aggressive, more than normal now. And it's because, the things women went through from back in the day to now. Like, a lot of women, they're not putting up with a lot of stuff these days. They're more opinionated. They want their voice to be heard, which, they have every right to do so because they are human beings. They should be respected.
Okay. Do you think that that's something that the media and society holds on to, that stereotype that black men are aggressive, which is may be a result of a lot of the problems that our men have had with the criminal justice systems and interactions with the local police departments? Exactly.
What the problem with men is we have a hard time in expressing our emotions, what we're feeling in a positive light. Sometimes it can come as as harsh. He's a butthole, or he's too aggressive, or he's not a nice person. That he's terrible. He's a terrible person. But at the end of the day, we just want to be understood. We want somebody to to really understand us and our problems, our struggles, the things that we have to shoulder every day. Because it's hard to be a male, but also to be a black male out here in society. It's hard because we already have 2 strikes against us. If you're money, that you're black, and 2, you're educated. Like you're more of a threat now. So we have to go out in that medium, and we go out here into the world, and we have to try to prove ourselves to the world. But what gets us to, we have no problem with proving ourselves to the world, but when we have to circle back and come back home and have to fight a battle at home, that's what that
where
really
you
gets
been
to
at
us.
all day?
Exactly, where we been at all day. La this and la that.
Why you didn't fix the light?
Exactly. And at the same time, in our mindset as a man, we have a lot of things that's going on in our mind. How can we make more money? Okay, how can I fix this? How can I make our lives better? What can I do as a man to lead our household to the forefront? How can I propel my household, to be a better household? How can I make my woman better? Or how can I make myself better? Or, why little Johnny is not doing X, Y, and Z, and stuff like that.
Okay. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it is something that, when we are together as a couple, we need to be mindful as women that, life is hard for black men. And when they come home, and that's another one of my favorite memes, when they say, he shouldn't have this problem in the world and then come home and have the same problems. But having an understanding, we're like, well, babe, how was your day? Let you relax and all that good stuff. And then we can talk about, you'll fix that light this weekend? Thank you, boo.
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
As I said, the honey to-do list is never short. It's always a running honey to-do list if in a marriage household. I know great friends of mine, they always have a honey to-do list, and it's ongoing. I get to it, I fix on it and stuff like that. Because
you're the head of the household, so I need you to maintain this household.
Exactly.
Okay, another stereotype. Do all women want to get married?
I think all women like the idea of getting married, but I think in these days of time, a lot of women they self-independent. They don't want to have to be, I guess, reluctant of a man. They don't want the responsibility of, being in a relationship, as far as, telling a person, where I'm going, how am I doing this, why am I doing this, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm managing my money this way, or matter of fact, I'm sacrificing this way for the household. A lot of people, they're getting tired of doing that. They want freedom, want to be, free.
Okay, that whole give us free and walking away from it. Okay. Let's see. As we are winding down on time, let's see. Good questions. Community. Are you responsible for your community?
Yes, you are. You are responsible for your community. Every individual that lives in the area is responsible for that community. We are responsible for one another. We're responsible for making sure that each and everybody in that community is accountable for one another. Whether it's the man or the woman, the man or kids around. We are supposed to help take care of one another.
Okay, let me interject this. I know you used to work for the government. Did you ever catch a train?
Yes.
When you were on the train, did you ever have an opportunity to witness some of our young people acting out of character?
All the time.
Have you ever spoken to any of our young people and or tried to guide them to get back in line? Because I believe that it is important for us to take care of our community, and part of that is redirecting our young people.
Yes.
I remember being on the train, and this was a couple years ago, but I remember being on the train and there was a woman, her kid probably about 3 or 4 years old, and she was going up and down the aisle, touching everybody's chair. And I'm giggling, and I was like, oh, it's okay. And someone else said, you need to get your kid, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, that's what 3-year-olds do. They weren't pulling anybody's purses. They weren't taking anything out the bag. They were just walking, touching each and every one of the chairs. So I think that it's important for us to walk a fine line with, being helpful in parenting, in our village, but also being mindful that, there are certain things that are age appropriate that kids and young people should be able to do.
Exactly. That's like I said, as the old saying goes, it takes a village to raise kids, to raise a child. But also in the same aspect, like you say, age appropriate things to do. But we also, as I guess as parents, you have to police your child. Mm-hmm. Being able to, control your child in a public setting.
Well, I know you from South Carolina. Yeah. Didn't y'all have those same rules that we did? That if I see you down the street talking crazy, I'm going to tell you about yourself and tell your mama?
Yeah, that person is allowed to put hands on you, and you're going to get hands laid on you when you get to the house. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I miss them days.
I miss those days, too, because nowadays it's like if you touch the other person's child or you have a conversation or an argument with another person's child, you're going to get in an argument with that child's parent. Mm-hmm. And that parent's going to be like, why are you talking to my kid like that? This is not your kid. You have no ability. You don't have the right or the ability to talk to my kid like this. Mm-hmm. Let me parent my kid. Mm-hmm. And I catch that a lot up here. So
then parent your kid, dang it.
Exactly. So, my thing about it, I'm the type of person, I don't like confusion, only if necessary. Mm-hmm. So, I try to tread lightly between that. If I know the kid, hey, man, you should not be doing this, because kids are more apt to listen to you if y'all have some type of relationship, if they know of you. But a kid that doesn't know you at all.
And sometimes the presentation.
The presentation is huge. Sometimes the kid they look through you and just ignore you, or you might hear a couple cuss words coming out their mouth. And I'm usually hearing that on the train, like, kids got foul mouths. They're not respectful around, the older generation, saying, foul words, being disrespectful, being loud, being ignorant. But that's, quote unquote, kind of expected, because in the, teenage years, adolescent years, we all done things we hadn't done. We all said things that we hadn't said, but those things were like not done so blatantly in the public. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we cuss, but we didn't cuss in front of Miss Jones sitting next to us on the train.
Exactly. So, those are the things, all that stems back from, the household, because kids, they learn from their parents and they learn from their environment. Mm-hmm. So, it's very important, as a parent to be really, really, really involved in your kids' lives. From looking in their phone, see who they talking to, text messaging, who they hanging out with.
Where they at on their phone.
Where they at on their phone. Mm-hmm. You have to know what your kids are doing at all times until, as my mama said, until you're able to 18 or you're a grown man, you abide by my laws.
Okay, I like it. So I think we go say, just affirm, yes, you are responsible for your community, and
yes,
if you can say something and you can say it in a good tone or a helpful tone,
it's
make a joke about it or something.
It's always the presentation, or you pull that person to the side. You can't, back in the day, juck them up or get in their stuff and point in their chest. You actually have to pull them to the side and actually have a meaningful
compliment their
conversation.
Shoes or their gear or something,
exactly.
And then tell them, look, they listen.
Exactly, because they want to be complimented first. They want to hey, they want to be loved on. Just the generation is really, really soft. It's really soft.
That's a whole nother segment.
They're really, really soft. So their image is really fragile, and they will fire back at you or they will break down. So it's either or. And
we have to learn how to make that presentation for
exactly.
Them. So again, I want to thank you, Marcus, for coming on the show on our first segment of Ask a Grown Man.
Thank you. I have fun.
Absolutely. Again, appreciate your insight. And again, ladies, if you want to catch up with Marcus and everything that he's doing in society, you can follow him on Facebook. Like I say, he's single, he got a job, MBA, all that good stuff. But again, great human being, good community activist and volunteer. So again, we want to say thank you so much for coming out. So before we go away, I just want to say again, thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are in the Prince George's County area, if you are able to, we'd love for you to come out and support my colleague, the General's Future Charity, tomorrow. They will be doing their 3rd annual Community Day for the Youth out in Seat Pleasant. This is a free event. It's at Goodwin Park. And I believe the event is from 12 to 5. They'll be giving out backpacks full of school supplies. They'll have free food. They'll have face painting. They'll have pony rides, and all these things are for a good event. There'll also be some local politicians are also out there to support some folks that have supported him every year throughout this event. So again, if you're able to come out, bring your kids, bring the family and come out and support our local community with the General's Future Charity. So again, we want to say thank you for tuning in. Thanks again to our guest, Marcus. And we hope you like everything that we said today here on Shaynel's 3 Cents. But if you did not, at least you heard it. We'll see you back next week.
Bye-bye.
We gonna start them all smooth. If this is your first time seeing Belladonna, y'all know we started all smooth because we got a whole nother set of party. Hey, all the cancers in the building, yeah. Who got a birthday out here tonight? Oh, I just got a bunch of grown folks coming out ready to party. All the grown folks that just here to party, make some noise for me, y'all. Hey, give me a little more love, yeah. Yeah, and a little more highs, yeah. I got you, baby, yeah. Shaynel, I see you. Love. I can't believe I believed everything we had was so dumb and naive to believe that with me you're a changed man. Silly of me to dream of day having your kiss. Love is so blind, it feels right when it's wrong. I can't believe I fell for your sins. I'm smarter than that. So dumb and naive to believe that with me, hey, silly of me to compete when you cheat with loose women. Took me some time, but now I am strong because I realized I got myself and it's all I got in the end. It's what I found out, and there ain't no need to cry. Think about it from now on. I'ma be my own best friend. Me, myself and it's all I got in the end. It's what I found out, and there ain't no need to cry. Think about it from now on. I'ma be my own best friend. Controlling, you say that you love me, but you don't. Your family told me one day I would see it on my own. Next thing you know, I'm dealing with your 3 kids in my home. Took me some time, but now I am strong. Now that it's over, stop calling me, come pick up your clothes. Ain't no need to front.